Namaste. Welcome to Buddha's teaching. Today's topic: intellectual mind versus emotional mind. So, you have heard me talk a lot about the emotional mind, right? The emotion that keep arising and changing all the time within each and every one of us. Our mind, actually, there are two major divisions. One is called intellectual and one is called emotional. But they are sort of like almost like you can call it like a conjoined twins in a way, because they reside in the same place. They are stick together. They're stuck together. Okay, but they are actually two different kinds of mind. So one is intellectual and one is emotional. Um, so what's going on is that as far as our intellectual mind goes, that set of mind, that kind of our mind that is in a different part of our brains, that mind does not have any emotion, right? Of course, that mind, we use that particular area of our brain to do the, of course, intellectual thinking, to study, to learn, doing a calculation, math, doing a research. That is what's special about human being, right? Human beings have that special capabilities, to analyze, to do research, you know, to do all kinds of things, which is, as we all know, is very powerful, right? So that is a section of our brain that we use to, to do all of that, in order for us, in order to make things better, to have better life, right? To improve our living condition and all that. Okay, so for example, like we go to school, and so when we try to think of, to do a math problem, a physics problem, a coding problem, and all that stuff. So we think, right? So that thinking mind right there is the intellectual mind, and that intellectual mind, that's all it does. Okay, its function is to think, right? So, but the the thing that we also have is emotional mind, which is right next to each other. For example, let's say you are thinking of a problem, you are trying to solve, whatever issue that needs to be solved, right? Now, you try very hard to trying to figure out the answer, and one thing to do, you seem like run into the wall. You can't find, you can't figure out what it is, and then the emotional mind kicks in. Okay, now you become frustrated. Okay, so when you become frustrated, it has its frustration has its roots in anger. Okay, so now the emotional mind kicks in. Okay, and this is the so this emotional mind here will, of course, as we all know, emotional mind, when it's unwholesome, it is not helping, right? It does not do us any good. So for us human beings, unfortunately, we do have these two minds that, you know sort of like stuck together. Okay, and for most of us, we are not aware of this phenomenon. We think that the mind is just one. Okay, just one. whole big thing, but it's two, right? It's two division. They have two. Okay. For like for animals and and all, uh, most of them they do have a little bit of intellectual mind. Okay, but that section of the brain that is used for to figure out things is very small and very limited, right? Very small and very limited. And of course they also have emotional mind. Okay, but since their brain size is smaller than us, even though yes they do experience love, happiness, and sadness and all that, because they also have memories, but they have limited capacity to store those information. So it's not like human being. We have a very large amount of capacity to store information, to store knowledge. So we can have more information stored, of course, so then we can have more memories, right? And the more memories we have, depending on the emotion, when we can have either a good or bad result from those memories. Okay, so what we need to work on uh, is that we need to work on our emotional mind, which is very important, because the intellectual mind is just, I mean, of course, we all are different. Okay, when it comes to the level of intellectuality, or whatever that word is, I'm not that great with that word. Um, Intellect has different levels, of course. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a brain surgeon, or just a normal person working at a normal um, jobs. So it depends on the level of intellect, right? So truth it be, okay, like it or not, we all have different level, different capacity when it comes to intellectual. Okay, um, but aside from that, when it comes to emotion, right? The emotional mind that we have. When it comes to emotion, it does not matter whether you are poor, whether you are homeless, whether you are a billionaire, a trillionaire, whether you are a king, a leader of an empire, okay, or you just a normal regular worker, regular people. We all have the same emotion, right? So when it comes to emotional mind, our emotion in every single human being, we all have the same ingredients for the emotion, right? We all have 52 uh, emotional mind faculties. Okay, we all have that. We all have wholesome mind faculties, and we all have unwholesome mind faculties, and we also have the neutral mind faculties. And all these faculties, every single one of us has the same. So when it comes to emotion that rules the world, believe it or not, out of the two division of our mind, emotion is the boss. Okay, emotion is the boss. Intellectual mind, doesn't matter how sharp or dull it is the slave of our emotional mind. Okay, um, our intellectual capacity or our intellectual level can be very, very high, okay? But if our emotional mind or the mind, um, the feeling that we have, if we, let's say, if we have this tendency to be, let's say, a lazy person, all right? Now, doesn't matter whether you have a very high IQ or whatnot, but when the unwholesome mind faculty of being lazy rules the mind, then the emotional mind has a saying of not doing much, not using much of the intellectual side of our brain, right? So our emotional mind, is the ruler, okay, is the big boss. So that is the reason why in Buddha's teaching, the Buddha concentrate on this mind. Okay, the Buddha does not teach arithmetic. The Buddha did not teach engineering. Okay, or go hunting or whatnot. That's not what the Buddha taught. Okay, the Buddha taught about our emotional mind. Okay, so but so we have to understand this very clearly. So we the mind that we have is supposedly, if we understand the emotional mind, if our emotional mind is healthy, it can use our intellectual mind very productive, right? It can be very useful, okay? But if the emotional mind is not strong, then the intellectual mind tends to be, all over the place also, because it cannot focus based on due to the emotional mind. So the emotional mind has a big influence on our intellectual mind. Okay. So, like for example, if even though our intellectual mind is sharp, but if our emotion is all over the place, then we cannot focus. We lose focus due to whatever emotion that uh, in charge, right? So, and of course, as we know, the emotion that rules us, they stem from the different experiences, right? From the different experiences that we have. So that's what we've been talking about, and by looking at the emotions that that arise within us as we go through life. Of course, I'm sure you all know that the issues and problems in life are countless, right? It's just keep happening one after another, right? um, Small or big, it doesn't matter. It keeps coming, but and then it's gone, and after we take care of it, okay, we resolve one thing and another issue arise, right? Be it regarding a health problem, or be it regarding problem in day to day living, such as relationship, such as interaction with friends and co-workers, siblings and parents and children and everything else in between. We all know that the emotion that we have by seeing things on TV, on social media, regarding politics, regarding different kinds of religions or whatnot. So we have emotion, right? So when there's emotion, then there tend to be issue that we run into. Okay, every single one of us. So now we cannot run away from that. That is the reason why we need to understand how these problems arise, right? How these issues keep arising. Okay, because after all, nobody wants to, have issue in life. Everyone wants looking for happiness. Everyone looking for a smooth sail, in life. But we keep running into bumps and potholes on the road. And so that's where the Dharma comes in. That is the main reason why the Buddha taught what the Buddha taught, is trying to smooth out the way for us through life, right? By showing us what it is all about, the issue that we run into, right? The problem that we run into on a daily basis, those potholes and obstacles that we run into, okay? The issue, the breakup, the relationship with sons and 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 parents and everything. So that is what the teaching is all about. Okay, to look at this emotional mind. Now, we are emotional is pretty much based on what we call uh, a lot of time we have problem with whoever that we interact with. Uh, we often get mad, right, or we get upset or whatnot. It is because we feel hurt, we feel offended, right? Or let's say somebody say something not nice to us, somebody accuse us of something that we did not do, okay? Uh, or all kinds of disagreement that we have between whoever that we interact with. There's all kinds, okay? And those are the problems that give us that keeps arising. That's that's how we have argument. That's how we have fights, and that's why we have wars. Okay, it's because of one side maintain that the other side is wrong. So there's conflicts and there's fight. So how does that arise? Remember, for most of us, now I'm going back to the self-I again. Okay, remember, this is something that for you to ask yourself, okay, if it's true or not. When you are offended, when you are mad, when you upset, okay, when you cry, okay, or when you angry, right? Who is angry? Who's upset? Who is crying? Who is depressed? Who is worried? Ask yourself that, okay? And the answer is I, okay? The answer is I, right? There's a self I right in the middle of all of those. Who gets offended? I. I get offended. Okay? The self I. I get offended. Okay? I am right. See, there's I. This is right smack in the middle of all the controversy, of all the argument, of all the conflicts, of all the fights, of all the war. There's a big I right in the middle. Okay, that's why the Buddha said, okay, that is where the conflict is. It's there's a self-I that is protecting itself, that it is right or it is the victim or whatnot. There's an I. So that is the reason why the Buddha look into what I is, right? For most of us, we never bother, we never think of looking into this I, because we know who we think we are, right? I think I know who I am. You see, for most of us, that's how we operate, right? I am a victim, right, of whatever circumstance. It doesn't matter. I am the victim. I am rich. I am the prime minister. I am whatever nationality you want to put after this. Okay, I am whatever, blah blah blah. I am the emperor. There's a big I, and that I is the culprit. Okay, that is the source of all the problem. That I, that self I. Okay, what is that I? Right? Again, we are talking about I, and we're talking about self, and we're talking about non-self that the Buddha taught. As we all know, the Buddha break it down, do the analysis on this very word I. Okay, who am I? Okay, who is this I? And as we know, at the end of the analysis, as the Buddha break everything apart, then look into I, then there's no I to be found, right? But for most of us, we just think there's an I that exists. I am this and I am that. Okay, and this is a very hard thing for a lot of people to understand. Okay, if I don't exist, who is this talking? Who is this listening? Okay, the I is always asking that question. Okay, without learning, without studying what that I is, the I keep asking that question. Then who is this? Who am I? Right? Who is listening here? Who is watching and who is talking? Okay. Um, so there's no need to argue unless the person has an open mind and willing to look into what the Buddha had to say. Right? What is it that the Buddha is talking about? Right? Try to find out for himself or herself. Okay? Say, okay, so the Buddha broke it down, and ultimately there's no I. So unless the person has open mind and want to know the truth, right? This is the ultimate truth of who we are. Then the I will continue to put up the wall and ask the same question over and over again. Who am I? Is that who is this talking? I am here, right here. What are you talking about? You see? So in Buddha's teaching, the self I, or we know as the ego I, is a mind construct, right? It is just a mind structure, okay? The mind itself just build a structure within itself, within the mind of that I. The mind build a structure and it call that as itself, okay? And what is it? What is that structure? When you were born, when we were first born, the baby, did that baby has a sense of self-I? The baby did not. The baby did not have a sense of self-I. The baby came out with a brand new brain, no memory, right? Empty. So there is no self-I. Okay, so where does the self-I come from? As the baby grows, okay, as the brain starts to develop, now the baby, the five senses are working, right? Just as right now, the five senses are working, collecting information. You see me, you hear me, okay? You smell something, you're eating something, or you're feeling something, cold, hot, or whatnot. Those are all the experiences that the five senses are, are receiving all the time, okay? And it's repeated over and over and over again at a very fast speed. For example, when you see through the eye, the speed of light, okay? So our brain is receiving experiences at the speed of light when it comes to vision, okay? So it gets imprinted on the brain, and that's what we call it's become memory, right? So as the baby grow, first the baby have no clue who the parents are, right? Just open the eyes and just see faces, don't even know what it is. After a while, you start to hear the same voice over and over, start to see the same face over and over again, and start to get fed by the same person over and over. And after a while, the brain start to remember, start to develop, and the memory start to register, and it start to recognize, right? And then the parents and or the environment start feeding information, okay, and give the baby whatever the name, right? And after a while, the baby come to uh, some kind of understanding that when somebody utter a certain sound, let's say John, and that is referred to him, so now he becomes John, okay? It's based on that memory. So that's how the self-I is created, right? So the self-I is built, is a structure that is created, that is built by memory, okay? So the memory or the experience that we receive, that's what I is. So the I that we all refer to is basically the accumulated experiences that we have throughout our life. Okay, let me repeat that again. The I is the accumulated experience that we have throughout our lives. That's what I is. Okay, so I has no form. Okay, I is a mind construct of the experiences that we collect, and keep building and slap things on. It's just like you, when you have an experience, let's say you go on a vacation or something, So that's one experience, and it's like a little poster note. You slap it on. Okay, that's one experience. Boom, on the brain, and then you experience something else, another sticky note like this, right? Boom, on the brain, right? So it's experience all over the place, and all of that it become the self I. That's all there is to it. That's who we think we are. Okay, and with this mind construct I, the mind construct I is defending this memory. The mind construct I is defending the experiences that it has collected. Okay, now it solidify all of these experiences. Okay, and try to make it solid, like in a way that make it okay. It's like a solid identity or entity, right? But in actuality, it's just energy or experience that the mind collect, and that's all there is to it. That's why for a lot of people who we call prejudice, for example, okay, there are a lot of people who has solidly define themselves, identify themselves as something, right? For example, I'm just saying I am the master, I am the teacher, right? I'm the guru, I am the president, I am the billionaire. All of that, okay, is mind construct. Okay, so once you solidify that, you know, the mind is trying very hard to hold on to this memory right here. Okay, that this is the entity, right, that exists, this I right here. Okay, so when the mind construct a structure like that and is trying very hard to protect it, okay, let's say I'm a billionaire, right? And then somebody who never know that billionaire and walk across say and call that billionaire a stupid person, let's say. You know how offended the I is? The I get offended so hard, okay? Because this I here right now is very big. So remember this. The bigger the I, the bigger the suffering that one has. Okay? Because the I is building upon itself, based on the experience, the different experiences, all right? The experience of extravagance and all the power, let's say. Okay, so if somebody belittle that experience, the I get offended big time because the I construct itself as something very big. If someone else has also an I, but just a small I, let's say somebody who's not well off, just a normal, then they get offended also. Let's say if somebody call them stupid, right? But that I doesn't get much of as big offended as the big I. I don't know if that's a good really good analogy, but it's one of the analogy. Okay, so the point is the self I is that accumulated experience that we have, and the mind that has all these experiences is constructing is bundling up all the experiences and make it an I. Okay, that I, that's why I have mentioned it before, that self I, when you go to sleep, doesn't matter you're millionaire, billionaire, thousandaire or no-naire. Okay, when you go to sleep, poof, gone, right? there's no I because the memory goes to sleep, right? It's like a deflated balloon, no air, gone. Has no meaning whether you whatever gazillionaire what, it's empty, it's gone. The I comes to be when we wake up, when memory comes back, and it construct that back again. The memory comes back together, boom, again, right? That's where the I is. And when we go to sleep, the memory gone, I, boom, gone. That's what the I is. Okay, so that is one of the big lessons that the Buddha taught. And so that's why the Buddha said, if you have a big I, your suffering is going to be big. If you have a small I, your suffering is small. But once you understand that there's no I, there's no more suffering. Okay? There's no I, there's no more suffering. And that is kind of difficult for most people to understand because, after all, we all refer to ourselves as I. So this is something that I want to leave with you all to ponder about. Okay? About, again, the self-I. Okay? And once you get to understand that, then you can look into the emotional mind that we have, the mind that is constructing the self-I, that is protecting the self-I, and by constructing the self-I, the mind creates emotion that is trying to protect itself, trying to play victim, right? Get offended, and everything in between. And that's why that emotional mind is creating all kinds of craziness, heavy load burden on a spirit. Okay, because the I is heavy, the I is big, because the I is trying to protect its identity. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna leave with you all today. Until next time, I like to pay respect to the triple gems. I like to pay respect to the Buddha. I like to pay respect to the Dharma. And I like to pay respect to the Sangha. Namaste.